What's up, Great Lakes fam? This is the story of Carolina in Fort Worth. April 7th, she was arrested at 900 East Berry Street in Fort Worth, Texas, the corner of Berry and 35th, by the Central District officers. Let's get into this. I got a lot of notes about this. We got a lot of stuff to show, to discuss on their own general orders or guidelines that they violated. Both Officer Cotton, Corporal Green. Dude, that phone call, Corporal Green, was pretty upsetting. You got me, man. You got me. So we're gonna talk about this a little bit, and I have all kinds of information to share with you guys on this case. Officers' names that were all there. I got all the codes ready to go for you guys. So let's just get into this real quick. It's the first time I've done anything like this, and it's because Carolina is such a sweet person, so kind to everybody in the community. We thank you for your hard work and your appreciation that you have for the community. So let's get into this, and I'll be back in a minute.
Hey, get out of the car! You don't have consent for that!
Get him right there, the one that's right there. Which one? That one in that car right there.
You don't have consent to be in that car! That's real mature. Consent! Mature, you're real mature, you clown! What a clown! What's wrong with these people?
We don't need.
Why do you got prior?
We have probable cause.
You don't have probable cause.
Yes, we do.
Where's your? You can only search your car if you have someone arrested or a warrant.
Yes.
You have neither one of those. You don't have a warrant, and you don't have anybody in custody from this car.
Yes.
Is it two females and a guy?
No, it's two males and a female.
Okay,
So what's your clown
okay,
genius?
what's the guy named Larry Gooden?
I don't know. I have.
Okay, then I need to know because I need to know if
Why
that's
do
my
you need to
husband.
know?
Because if that's so, that's my husband.
Okay. As soon as I find out, I'll let you know.
Okay, then I'll go ask somebody else.
Clowns, right?
I just got your body lost.
You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave.
Oh, and there was drugs in Plainview.
In plain view?
So
They're not. People aren't that
probable
stupid.
cause to search the vehicle.
All right. Do y'all hear that?
Warrantless.
But what gives him permission to act like that?
exception.
Yeah, it was in plain view. Are you sure it was in plain view?
Yeah, when it's sitting on the floorboard, you can see it.
What was it? Maybe it was just like, some oregano. Okay. So where'd that clown go? I want to go talk to that clown that threw that light up in my face. When I first got here, he just stayed on his horn for about a whole minute, and shined all his lights into my camera. Let's go find that fool. Let's go find that fool. Oops, my gimbal's starting to die. Hang on. There it goes. Say, gimbal. Oh, it wants to die. Okay, hang on. There we go. So it's got something leaking under this car right here. There's that fool right there. See where that man's standing? C648. That's the one that blared his horn at me. So I was asking when they're searching the car, I was asking where the warrant was. I think, what is this? Is this how the car? Look at this. Oh my God. Somebody. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Look at the cars. Not surrounding these people.
Carolina, you're not surrounding having sex with your kids, are you?
What?
You're not having any more sex with kids, are you? Like you did when you were a teacher?
Where'd you hear that?
That's what I heard. Is that true?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Can you believe
gotta
that?
back up. Back
Oh.
up. Back
Hey,
up.
wait, I'm following.
Come
Hang on.
Back up. Back up. You're more than welcome to film. Just get film right over here. Let's walk over there.
I want to go over there and talk to that guy.
You gotta sit right over there.
When's the last time you had sex
I've
with a kid?
already told you.
Where's the camera?
I've already
What are
told you to
doing?
walk over and you didn't move.
What
So
are you
you're
talking
under
about?
arrest.
What are you talking
Stop
about?
resisting
I didn't
arrest.
do anything.
Stop
I
resisting
didn't do
arrest.
anything. I didn't. Ow! Ow! God damn it! I didn't do
Stop
anything.
resisting arrest.
I didn't do anything. Hey, I didn't do anything.
Stop resisting arrest.
I wasn't doing anything. Oh my god! Oh my god! What are y'all doing? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Oh my god! I wasn't doing anything. I didn't do anything. I can't believe y'all did that. I didn't do anything.
You have anything on you that's illegal?
Alright, so first things first, here is where Carolina was arrested. If you look, you watch the video, these poles right here. She's walking on this sidewalk. This is the public easement right here. Leads to the sidewalk. She walks up the sidewalk to this general area when a cruiser comes through this way. And if you look, you can see the lines right here next to the cruiser. These are all within her shot when she first walks up. And I think she kind of gets near this one. Either way, she's still on the sidewalk. So these officers had no authority to say or do anything to her, and we'll get into details on that in just a moment. Alright, so here's her approach. You see where she's standing and see where that police car is. She's standing on the sidewalk right at the seam between the sidewalk and the easement. She's going to fix her gimbal, and she's walking up that seam still. So think about that police car that's already there and where she is in relation to it. The second car is going to come up on this side of her of that cruiser right at them poles. You can see her walk up to the poles. And here she goes. Cars come up like, what's that? So that one's right up next to her. So that looks like that's the skinny pole. So this cruiser is still within the body of that other cruiser behind the front wheel, which is on the sidewalk. Alright guys, so here we have the Fort Worth Police Department General Orders. And let's go read their Code of Ethics, which is the beginning here. The Code of Ethics for the Fort Worth Police Department. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve society, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all people to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn or ridicule, develop self-restraint, and be constantly mindful to the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life, I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my department. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature or what is confided to me in my official capacity will be kept secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear of favor, malice, or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith and accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of the police service. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement. Anyone else notice how badly Officer Cotton alone violated the Code of Ethics? Let's dig into that now. Alright guys, so we're going to start top down. Alright, we're just going to go in numerical order as they are listed. First, crime scenes. Media representatives shall be given guided access and, when feasible, preference to crime scenes as soon as it is determined to be practical by the ranking investigation supervisor, except when a crime scene is on private property and the owner's permission has not been obtained, which this was on private property, but she stayed on the sidewalk when she was arrested. If you notice in the video, you'll see people walking all through the scene, not just Carolina before she went back, but people were all over the scene. The lady in the green, the guy in the white t-shirt, people all over the place. So part B, when the presence of media members may adversely affect the preservation of the crime scene or in any other way interfere with the investigation. Now the investigation's pretty much over. They were hooking the car up to the tow truck to be towed. That investigation is over with. They've searched it for evidence. Their crime scene's essentially over. There was nothing that she could have done to interfere with that investigation unless she laid down in front of that car, basically, okay, or got in it. So that does not warrant the behavior that we've seen. Next, photographs and interviews. Photographs may be taken in or from any public access areas, like a sidewalk or a public easement. Officers may restrict or prohibit the use of flash, strobes, or other bright lighting when their use might hinder police operations. But yet, they did the same to her with prior restraint with all them lights on right in her camera. Here's my favorite part of this. Officers shall not interfere with the photographer taking a picture of a prisoner under normal circumstances. Juvenile suspects shall not be photographed by any persons other than police officers as part of an official investigation. Other juveniles should not be photographed unless in public areas. If it's in public, you can record it. They can't stop you from recording it in public. Alright? So, officers shall not interfere. Photographs may be taken in or from any public access areas. Now, this doesn't specify police department stations or buildings or property. So, the general public could reasonably assume that this would also mean in public. Now, Honor Code 220.04. I will respectfully serve the citizens of Fort Worth and the Fort Worth Police Department. I will dedicate myself to the protection of life, property, and our public trust. My integrity, character, and courage will be above reproach, and I will accept no less from other members of our department. There were 14 officers on scene. There was 2 corporals. Detective Gray is a corporal, I understand. So there was 2 corporals, and then they allowed the other 12 officers, well, 11 officers, because, you know, the one with the lights and the horn. So the other 11 allowed this behavior to happen with the horn itself, the horn and the lights. So that right there, all 11 of those officers, plus the 2 detectives, or I'm sorry, the 2 corporals, violated their honor code. Alright, 347.01, Police and Community Relationships. Citizen participation and interaction with the police are necessary to promote cooperative efforts in resolving community issues. It is shared responsibility of all department members to establish and promote rapport with members of the community. The department must strive for the establishment of a climate where officers may perform their duties with the acceptance, understanding, and approval of the public. Additionally, the willing and practiced participation of the people in enforcing the law is essential for the preservation of freedom. We're going to skip A and we're going to go to B and C. A reverence and respect for the dignity of all persons and the sanctity of all human life shall guide all training and leadership. Members of law enforcement derive their authority from the public and therefore must be ever mindful that they are not only the guardians but also the servants of the public. Just as all persons are subject to the law, all persons have a right to dignified treatment under the law, and the protection of this right is a duty, which is as binding on the department as any other. All officers must treat a person with as much respect as that person will allow, and officers must be constantly mindful that the people with whom they deal with is what it should say, each day are individuals with human emotions and needs. Such conduct is not only a duty imposed in addition to an officer's primary responsibilities, it is inherent in them. D. In dealing with all people, each officer must attempt to make their contact one which inspires respect as an individual and professional, and one which generates the cooperation and approval of the public. While entitled to personal beliefs, an officer cannot allow individual feelings or prejudices to enter into public contacts. However, since an officer's prejudices may be subconsciously manifested, it is incumbent upon the officer to strive to avoid the influence of attitudes which might impair impartiality and effectiveness. Keeping in mind that initial contacts leave lasting impressions both on the individual officer and of the department as a whole. Those first 2 lines that Jay Cotton said to Carolina blows all of this away. Just take 347.01 BCD and throw it out. He violated each one of these with his disgusting and deplorable remarks about her having sex with her kids, her students. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Alright, so now we got 507.08. We're going to look at C4. Now this is the public address systems on patrol vehicles. Public address systems shall not be used for stopping routine traffic offenders, directing pedestrians, amplify the police radio while outside the vehicle, which they like to do that in a lot of places around the country, you know, playing music that's going to get copyright strikes. 4, any other purpose that would result in the unnecessary disturbance of citizens, particularly in residential areas. I would say that blaring that horn for over 30 seconds, minimum 30 seconds, is a violation of this. Now, it says the public address system, which was typically the PA system, but I think you could argue that the horn itself was, in itself, disturbing the peace. There was no need for it. There was no emergency. It's absolutely disgusting the way people get treated. Next, we got 705.02M. No employee shall in any way cause or conspire to cause retaliatory action against any individual who has been involved in any such investigation as a defendant, complainant, witness, victim, investigator, or any other capacity. Now, when Cotton walks up to Carolina, he calls her Carolina. He knows what she's doing. He knows that she's out there recording and most likely going to be live. When she's on a scene, she's typically going to be live. So, the retaliatory action being arresting, part of any other capacity. Then we have the actions of the officer in vehicle C648, as well as Corporal Green allowing that behavior to happen. So that's a violation. Alright, so let's get into this. This is my favorite one. Professional conduct. This defines neglect of duty. And all 14 officers on the scene are responsible for violating at least one of these by allowing that behavior to happen with the horn. B, neglect. Well, let's go with A. Neglect of duty is defined as the abandonment, either through omission or commission, intentional or otherwise, of any duty which has been designated to an employee of the department, whether through the general orders, special orders, orally, or through a written directive from a superior. The assignment of the duty may be either explicit or implicit. B. Neglect of duty on the part of any employee is cause for disciplinary action. The offender shall be disciplined according to the severity of the violation, the commensurate responsibility or accountability of their rank or position, the results brought about by the action or inaction, and the effect it has upon the discipline, good order, and best interest of the department. Neglect of duty includes, but is not limited to, the following. Now, what I just read there is, I see disciplinary action. You know, we know they're a union. I'm union. We all have steps. But when you have 15 or so violations, all within one interaction, I'm willing to believe, hopeful that it would be something along the lines of termination for 2 of these officers. I doubt it's going to happen. I would like to at least see Corporal Green get busted down in rank, lose his stripes. That's necessary in this situation. So now let's read the ones that I feel were violated. 703 itself. And B, we have 678. So we'll skip the first 5. 6. This is for Officer Cotton, telling her she's going to stand the fuck over there. Says things like, "You still having sex with your kids?" Now, I talked with Carolina today on a panel, and she said that Cotton came up to her, and when she's going, "Hey, what are you doing?" he actually has her by the shoulders and has her lifted up, and it was physically moving her back. There's nothing in their policies that say they can physically move somebody back. Nowhere in this thing at all. And I will leave a link to the download for the PDF. So number 6, using excessive force towards any person. That was definitely unnecessary force that became excessive the second he touched her. Number 7, being disrespectful to any person. The way he cussed at her and the way he spoke about her having sex with her kids or her students. 8, use of indecent, profane, or harsh language in performance of official duties. Like I said a second ago, the language that he used and the indecency being him saying things like, oh, you still having sex with your kids, you know? Disgusting, deplorable piece of shit human being. I just despise that kind of crap. It's unnecessary. I did a deep dive into Carolina. I know her real name, and I found her teaching certificate. I'm not going to post it here because it's information you guys don't need to be seeing. No one needs to be seeing. It's still active. Had an accusation of that, there's a good chance that she could lose her license just on an accusation. It's not true. Now let's continue. Let's go to C. Now, C, E, F, W, X, and Y are all things that Cotton violated as well. You know, it's pretty sad. But let's go. C, no officer shall engage in any personal conduct which results in justified, unfavorable criticism of that officer or the department. Unfavorable criticism may include, but is not limited to, negative media coverage or news articles, negative social media posts, multiple complaints from uninvolved persons, civil lawsuits, etc. Everybody, at the very end of all this, is going to be contact information. The more people that call about Officer Cotton and Corporal Green, the more likely it is that they'll be off the streets and not be able to hurt anybody again. D, officers shall not publicly criticize or ridicule the department or other law enforcement agencies. He didn't. So his speech was disgusting, but he didn't, insult the department. His actions were insulting to the department, though. E, no officer shall ridicule, mock, deride, taunt, or belittle any person. Neither shall the officer knowingly embarrass, humiliate, or shame any person, nor do anything that might incite such person to violence. Again, his statements and his actions clearly show him mocking her, him taunting her, belittling her, ridiculing, but knowingly embarrass or humiliate or shame her, knowing that she's recording her footage, either live or static, that's blatant violation. F, proper judgment, demeanor, courtesy, and discretion are mandatory. Mandatory. Both within the department and when interfacing with the public. The use of words or gestures which are derogatory or inflammatory in nature to or about any person or group of persons because of their race, color, gender, age, national origin, religion, disability, economic status, sexual orientation, gender expression, gender identity, transgender status, membership in cultural group, or other individual characteristics or distinctions, or taking any discriminatory actions is strictly prohibited. Again, it's first 2 lines. All right, now let's go to, let's skip down. This just says, how to talk to people, like, their pronouns, their genders. Let's go to W, X, and Y. Sorry for the scroll, guys. W, no officer shall arrest any person or search any premises except with a warrant of arrest, a search warrant, or where such arrest or search is authorized without warrant by law. Her standing on a public sidewalk, not interfering with the basically done investigation, is not an authorized arrest without a warrant. There was no warrant for her arrest, nor a search warrant. So she was searched illegally, arrested illegally, violated by having to be locked up. So she was kidnapped. What do we have here? We have a First Amendment violation. We have a Fourth Amendment violation. There's a good chance that they could hit with a couple other constitutional rights that were violated. I'm willing to bet, but at the very least, we have a first and fourth. X, no officer shall falsely arrest, imprison, or cause any malicious prosecution to be instituted against any person. Again, like I just said. Y, all officers shall protect the rights of any person held in custody. No officer shall verbally abuse or use excessive force against any such person, nor allow another officer or individual to do so. Officers are required to protect the rights of all persons and are prohibited from engaging in any form of discrimination, oppression, or favoritism. So, once he grabbed a hold of her, he got quite physical. Her phone got broken in the process. So, there's multiple instances here where she was violated statutorily by state law, by federal law, and then within their own policy. Alright, and as promised, here is the list of everything that we just discussed. This is the incident number, location, time. The arresting officer is Officer Jay Cotton, badge 4292, who arrested Carolina in Fort Worth at 900 East Berry Street in Fort Worth, Texas on April 7th at 10:40 p.m. That's what's officially listed on the incident report. We have all the codes that we just talked about, their general orders. We have contact information if you so wish to. Please do so respectfully and courteously. The people inside the office aren't necessarily the ones that have any issues with, arresting people illegally. I can tell you right now, the people in the records department are absolutely fantastic. They're wonderful. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are the nicest people I've had to deal with or been able to deal with the entire time I've been doing this, coast to coast. They are the nicest. So, here's all your information. Do with it what you will. I'm not telling you to call. I'm not telling you not to. You're all grown adults. Do what you see fit. But there was a certain general order in there that discussed excessive complaints by basically witnesses and things of that nature. So, Alright guys, and here we have all of the officers involved in the original scene. The original scene happened at 10:05, the same location of 900 East Berry, the same night of April 7th. The primary officer on this one is Corporal Green, who was the guy with the 2 stripes on his sleeve that walked up to Carolina right after the horn honking issue. He did not address that. He did not do his job according to what we were just gone over. I mean, it's dereliction of duty, neglect of duty. Then there's also Detective Gray. He was wearing a gray t-shirt with his badge hanging behind him. If you look next to the car with the brights on, you see him behind the vehicle to the right of it. Look at the screen, come around the back end. Then you have officers Loud, Musato, Hoffman, Moore, Hall, and Cotton. The arresting officer for Carolina is Cotton. Then we have 3 paired units, Darch and Fuller, Blazingame and Osborne, Belcher and Stevens. I have heard a lot of stuff about Stevens, Cotton, Hoffman, Green, a lot of stuff. And it's disturbing that within their policy it says if you bring too much heat on us, or negative light or too many reports, that there's disciplinary action. How can this stuff be happening with reports being made and people in Ohio are hearing about it, people in other countries are hearing about it, and they can spout names off just talking to people because they see how bad they actually are. So I'm not telling you guys to call. I'm not telling you not to either. But oh look, information just came back up again. How'd that happen? If you do call, please be kind, be polite. It's not the people in the office typically that have to deal with the people in the streets, and it's typically not the people in the office that are the ones violating people, but they are the ones allowing this behavior to continue. So if you can find it within you to be polite and not get them closed off to what you're trying to do, that's the best option. Sometimes you got to kiss a little butt to get some results. But that's it, guys. I'm Great Lakes. This is the Carolina story, April 7th. She's out and doing well. She is a little upset still about it all. So, Commander Ladd. That is the Central District Commander, Commander Ladd. Yeah. I've tried calling. I can't leave messages. I've tried, but there's nowhere to leave a message for Commander Ladd. If anyone has any contact information for Commander Ladd, please email me, greatlakesaudits@gmail.com. I would love to get in touch with her. But that's all I got, guys. Take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you.